Remove those hideous lights this instant. That's what HOA President Vivian Sterling screamed at me Christmas Eve morning loud enough to wake the dead and every snooping neighbor in North Dallas. Picture this me up on my ladder, sweat running down my neck, just trying to finish off a string of warm white Christmas lights when this woman all decked out in $1,000 worth of Lululemon comes stomping across the street like she owns the whole zip code, half the blocks peeking through their windows. And there I am, public enemy number one, because my holiday display wasn't gaudy enough for Queen Vivian. She didn't waste any time laying into me. Those embarrassingly plain lights are ruining our property values. Take them down immediately or face foreclosure proceedings. You'd have thought I'd set the house on fire. Kids froze on the sidewalk, adults hid behind their curtains, and I just stood there humiliated on what's supposed to be the most magical day of the year. But Vivian had no clue what was coming for her. By Christmas morning, her own $80,000 Christmas spectacle had vanished, and the whole neighborhood watched her meltdown like the end of a cheap soap opera. But let me back up, paint you the full picture. I'm Marcus Reed, 51, master electrician, 30 years under my belt. I've wired up half the houses in Preston Estates, this exclusive gated community where oil money and tech wealth crash into each other, and build McMansions with circular driveways and garages bigger than the first apartment I ever rented. My wife Jennifer and I moved here 5 years ago. Business was booming. Our daughter Emma was starting high school, and we wanted her in a good district. The house stretched our budget, but we made it work. I built a business with my hands-honest work wiring luxury homes across North Dallas. Then last year, everything changed. Jennifer had emergency gallbladder surgery that went from routine to complicated real fast. 3 surgeries, 6 weeks off work, $15,000 in medical bills insurance wouldn't touch. Christmas budget. We weren't about to compete with our neighbors' displays, not this time. And let me tell you, Preston Estates doesn't do Christmas. It does Christmas extravaganza. 40-foot trees sync to music, animatronic reindeer fog machines puffing winter wonderland in the middle of 78-degree Texas heat. The place smelled like a weird mix of fake snow chemicals and the cedar from my homemade wreath. Every December, the HOA transforms our entrance into what the news calls the Dallas Christmas spectacle. Cars line up for miles. People drive from 3 counties away just to see us. The show runs every half hour, lights flashing to music so loud you can hear it from the next zip code. And orchestrating it all, Vivian Sterling, age 47, married to an oil exec, worth $15 million. She drives a white Range Rover so spotless you could eat off the tires. Never seen her without makeup, even walking her tiny designer dog at 6 a.m. Vivian's been HOA president for 6 years since she moved here from Highland Park. Her obsession, maintaining property values through aesthetic excellence. Translation: if it doesn't look expensive, she wants it gone. Our family Christmas tradition, though, is simple. My dad always said good craftsmanship speaks for itself. So I spent weekends hand-carving a cedar wreath, lined the roof with warm white LEDs, none of the cheap stuff that burns out after a season, and built a nativity scene from reclaimed barnwood, a soft spotlight making everything glow just right. Emma helped me design it all. Total cost $347. To us, it looked like a Christmas card. But in this neighborhood where folks drop more on lights than I paid for my first truck, our understated approach was a declaration of war. The morning I finished setting up, Vivian marched over, clipboard in hand, ready to ruin someone's day. "Marcus," she said, "no good morning, or how are you? This display violates community standards." I was already sweating from the December heat, and it wasn't even 8 a.m. "How so?" "Vivian." She handed me an official-looking form, insufficient decoration density. I'd failed to meet the investment standards of the community. You have 48 hours to hire an approved decorator and bring this up to acceptable levels. Minimum $5,000. She even had designer recommendations. That's when I realized this wasn't about Christmas. It was about control. The violation letter was almost impressive: minimum lighting density per square foot, mandatory synchronized elements, thematic coherence with neighborhood aesthetic vision. I read it twice, looked at her $80,000 light show in the background, and bit my tongue. That evening, she called an emergency committee meeting, mandatory attendance for me. The clubhouse, all glass and marble and expensive carpet cleaner, was full of neighbors eager for drama. Vivian clicked through a PowerPoint titled "Maintaining Excellence, the Preston Estates Standard." Slide after slide of past Christmas displays, each more over the top. Then my house photographed from the worst possible angle labeled current compliance issues. She wielded her laser pointer like a weapon. This property fails to meet community investment standards. We require immediate remediation or face daily fines of $300. I glanced at Jennifer, still recovering. Emma worried about college applications. I asked, "What if I can't afford it?" Vivian shrugged. "Then perhaps Preston Estates isn't the right fit for your family." That night, lying awake beside Jennifer, tossing and turning, I got angry. Angry enough to dig through old files. When you wire up a place from scratch, you know every circuit, every meter. Something had been bugging me. Our commercial-grade meter had weird spikes every December. So I pulled out the blueprints, cross-checked permits. The HOA's Christmas display with all those lights and effects should have needed its own electrical service. But there was nothing. No permit, no meter. At 3 in the morning, boots on, flashlight in hand, I traced the wiring behind our house to the main junction. There it was, an unmarked line running straight from my meter to the HOA's display. No permit, no documentation. Somebody had tapped into my service. For 2 years, I'd been paying for Vivian's spectacle. Commercial rates 40% higher than residential. Quick math, they'd stolen $2,800 from me. In Texas, that's a felony. I started smiling in the dark. Vivian wanted to talk about community standards. Let's talk about the standard that says you don't steal from your neighbors. Next morning, Jennifer saw me grinning over coffee. "You figured something out," she said. "Let's just say Christmas is about to get interesting." 2 days after the meeting, Vivian upped the ante. Full HOA board meeting, city councilman present, a friend from her country club. Notices went out calling my lights a threat to property values. Then she involved the media, planted a story in the newsletter about maintaining our award-winning holiday display standards, quoted anonymous neighbors. Organized a petition, 15 signatures from folks whose displays probably cost more than my annual income. Even Emma got dragged in. Her boyfriend's parents said he shouldn't visit our house anymore. Jennifer broke down crying. "Maybe we should just borrow the money, hire their decorator, make this go away." But I'd been busy tracing every wire, every connection. Turns out the contractor Vivian hired, Danny Whitfield, was an old work buddy of mine. I checked my records. Danny had a work order supposedly for a temporary electrical connection. But he'd installed a permanent illegal tap right when I was out of town working in Plano. I pulled up old emails. There it was, Vivian to Danny and the HOA board. "Please ensure the Christmas display electrical work is managed efficiently to minimize ongoing operational costs." That's HOA, speak for steal it. Called Danny that Saturday. He confessed Vivian offered him $8,000 to creatively manage the power, said it was just for one season. But when he tried to remove it the next year, she told him to leave it. That Saturday, the board meeting was packed. 40 neighbors, Vivian presenting charts, expert testimony, slideshows from other neighborhoods. "We can't have properties that bring down the whole area," the councilman said. I stood up. "You're right, sir. We can't. That's why I'm interested in the standard that says you don't steal from your neighbors." Room went silent. Vivian went pale. I sat down. Now she was scared. Monday morning, a certified letter foreclosure proceedings unless I remedied the violation by Christmas Eve. She started a whisper campaign about our finances, neighbors crossing the street, business drying up. Emma overheard kids' parents say, "Maybe we didn't belong here." Jennifer said the stress was making her recovery worse. That night I showed her everything, the photos, Danny's confession, the stolen power, the law. "What do we do?" she asked. "We give them exactly what they asked for, community standards." All week I'd been installing a master electrical cutoff switch controlled by my phone. One touch and everything on my meter, including the HOA's display, would go dark. I coordinated with Fire Marshal Johnson. He was real interested in an unpermitted 80,000-watt display in his jurisdiction. News crews loved the story, rich folks stealing from working families, HOA power trips. My attorney, Sarah Story, prepared the civil and criminal complaints. Texas law, triple damages for utility theft. Our claim was nearly $25,000. Vivian called Thursday, voice shaking. This ends now. You have until Christmas Eve to comply or you're out. Yes, ma'am. Community standards are very important, I replied. Everyone will see what happens to people who don't fit in here, she said. You're absolutely right, Vivian. Everyone's going to see exactly what happens. Christmas Eve. Before dawn, I checked the app one touch and I could cut the power. Jennifer found me watching the sunrise over our simple display, kissed me on the cheek. You ready for tonight? Been ready my whole life. Digging deeper, I found even more. Vivian had paid Danny to set up a temporary connection. But every month the HOA filed fake electrical expenses with their insurance company. That's insurance fraud, $14,400 a year in claims while stealing the power from my meter. Sarah found the emails, Vivian planning, orchestrating, and covering it all up, telling Danny to leave the setup in place, calling it efficient for all parties. That afternoon, I called Fire Marshal Johnson. He had the DA's investigators, insurance fraud specialist, news crews. This is going statewide, he said. I set up my backup power, so when I cut the main line, my house would stay lit, and theirs would go dark. Evening came. Neighbors gathered for the Christmas Eve party, hot chocolate, fake snow, 76-degree weather. Vivian worked the crowd in her designer dress, accepting compliments, giving interviews. At 7 p.m., the show began, lights, music, snow machines. Hundreds of cars lined up. By 8, the crowd peaked. News crews ready, fire marshal in position. Vivian stepped up to give her speech live on Channel 5. Tonight represents the best of what our community can achieve when we all commit to the same high standards, she said right as I checked my phone. 8:15 p.m. showtime. We can't tolerate residents who refuse to contribute appropriately, she went on, meaning us announcing our foreclosure in front of everyone. Enough. I opened the app, thumb over the red button, and as she started to thank the board for maintaining our standards, I tapped it. In 2 seconds, 80,000 watts of Christmas magic disappeared. The crowd stood in stunned silence. The only lights left were mine, warm, elegant, handcrafted, powered by honest work. Vivian sputtered at the microphone. Minor technical difficulty, will have it back momentarily. That's when I stepped up. Actually, Vivian, there's no technical difficulty. The display's working exactly as designed. Fire Marshal Johnson joined me. I explained every special effect powered by electricity stolen from my meter. I showed the evidence, photos, emails, Danny's confession. Johnson confirmed it for the crowd. Multiple violations of electrical codes, theft of utilities, insurance fraud, multiple felony charges. Neighbors erupted. You paid a contractor to steal electricity. She's been stealing from all of us. News cameras rolled. District Attorney's investigator read Vivian her rights. As she was led away in handcuffs, the only lights left in the neighborhood were my own. Honest, simple, real. Rebecca Martinez from Channel 5 asked me, "What do you want people to know about what happened here tonight?" I looked straight into the camera, thinking of every working family just scraping by, every neighbor bullied by someone with more money and power. Community standards work both ways. If you're going to demand excellence, make sure you're not a criminal yourself. And if you threaten someone's family over Christmas decorations, make sure you're not stealing the electricity to power your own display. The crowd erupted in applause. Christmas morning brought 3 unexpected gifts. A call from the new HOA president. They settled, paid full restitution plus legal fees, $18,400. Channel 5's story went viral. Vivian's arrest trending across 3 states. And the best of all, Emma's smile when she saw our lights still glowing just as they should. By New Year's, Vivian's crimes had unraveled completely. Over $12,000 stolen, $28,000 in fake claims skimming HOA dues. Her husband filed for divorce. The new HOA capped the Christmas display budget at $5,000, created a medical assistance fund with the recovered money, and made me electrical safety coordinator. Emma started a classic Christmas contest. This time creativity won, not cash. My business boomed. Turns out folks wanted the guy who caught the Christmas light thief to wire their homes. And our neighborhood changed, less about outspending, more about real community. Emma's off to college with a scholarship from the medical fund, wants to study electrical engineering and social justice. And Vivian, she pled guilty, took 2 years in state prison, mansion sold to pay restitution. Last I heard, she's learning honest work in the prison laundry. Now our decorations tell a new story. Handmade ornaments, cookie exchanges, paper, snowflakes. I still check that cutoff app sometimes, but these days I use my skills to help neighbors, not fight them. Because real community standards, well, They look like people helping each other, not tearing each other down. Justice comes in some strange packages. If there's one thing I learned, it's that honest work and knowing your rights will always outlast someone with money and a title. We all make our own villains. The real question is, when someone tries to bully you with fake rules and real consequences, will you fight smart or just fight back? Sometimes the better answer is shining a light on the lies. So tell me, when is standing up for yourself worth it? Where's the line between justice and revenge? Drop your thoughts below or share your own story, because every neighborhood deserves better than folks who hide behind fake authority. And hey, if you believe real justice is honest, legal, and sometimes just a little bit poetic, go ahead, leave a comment. I'll be here watching the lights.
Cảm ơn các bạn đã xem video.